Hello everyone, and welcome to vlog 54 in the Essential Jesus series from Kimmel Bay Church. We're going to be looking today at John chapter 10 verses 1 to 18. This chapter contains one of my favourite verses in the Bible. Verse 10 says, "I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." And the parable itself is all about one of Jesus' favourite analogies, all about a shepherd and his sheep. He probably had Ezekiel 34 in his mind as he told this parable. So Jesus begins by talking about a shepherd entering the sheep pen through the gate, not climbing over the fence, but going through the gate. And he warns about people who lead others astray. He's actually talking about the Pharisees, suggesting that they're the ones who have come before Jesus, and they're the ones who are climbing over the fence, and they're thieves and robbers, and their motives are all wrong. They don't really care about the sheep. All they care about is themselves and profiting themselves. Ezekiel 34 that we mentioned earlier says this, verse 1. "This is what the sovereign Lord says. Woe to you, shepherds of Israel, who only take care of themselves. Should not shepherds take care of the flock? You eat the curds, clothe yourselves with wool, and slaughter the choice animals, but you do not take care of the flock. You have not strengthened the weak, or healed the sick, or bound up the injured. You have not brought back the strays, or searched for the lost. You have ruled them harshly and brutally, so they were scattered because there was no shepherd. And when they were scattered, they became food for wild animals. My sheep wandered all over the mountains and on every high hill. They were scattered over the whole earth, and no one searched or looked for them." And then verse 10, "I am against the shepherds and will hold them accountable for my flock. I will remove them from tending the flock." So he's talking about those Pharisees. And then Jesus goes on to describe himself as the good shepherd. He knows his sheep and they know him. Jesus' followers can have a close relationship with him individually. He knows their names, he knows what they're doing, he knows what they're thinking. Or how else could he hear our silent prayers? It's incredible, isn't it? The creator of the universe cares about each one of us, knows us so individually, and listens to each of our thoughts. Luke chapter 12 verse 7 says, "Indeed, the very hairs on your head are numbered." In my case, not many left actually, but he knows them all, one by one. Jesus says that the sheep know his voice and know that he will protect them. They know that he will take them to the best pastures. He will protect them from wolves, so they'll follow him. Isaiah 40 verse 11 says, "He tends for his flock like a shepherd. He gathers the lambs on his arms and carries them close to his heart. He gently leads those who have young." And of course Jesus was willing to lay down his life for us in the parable, for the sheep, to protect them. Unlike the hired hands who are paid, who don't actually own the sheep, who will actually run away and protect themselves when danger comes along, they will abandon the sheep. Jesus also talks about other sheep in other sheepfolds who haven't been brought in yet. So what happens if the sheep refuse to follow the good shepherd? They might try and get to the fence, but get snagged on barbed wire, or wander off on their own and get hurt. They might enjoy freedom for a time, but they've got no idea about the dangers. They're unprotected from robbers. They're at risk from attack by wolves and other wild animals. They might get hungry if they can't find the best pastures. Whereas the Good Shepherd cares about them so much that he wants the best for them. He wants them to have food, shelter, safety, and crucially, he He's willing to lay down his life for each one of them. So what does happen if the sheep choose to go off on their own? Well, the shepherd doesn't forget about them. He goes and searches for them. Jesus will never forsake us, even if we stray. There's a great parable, the parable of the lost sheep, in Matthew chapter 18. This is what it says. What do you think? If a man owns 100 sheep and one of them wanders away, will he not leave the 99 on the hills and go and look for the one who's wandered off? And if he finds it, truly I tell you, he is happier about that one sheep than about the 99 who did not wander off. In the same way, your Father in heaven is not willing that any of these little ones should perish. If we refer back to Ezekiel 34 again, this is what it says. For this is what the sovereign Lord says, I myself will search for my sheep, and I'll look after them, as a shepherd looks after the scattered flock when he is with them. I will rescue them from all the places where they were scattered on a day of clouds and darkness. I will tend them in a good pasture. I myself will tend for my sheep and have them lie down, declares the Lord. I will search for the lost. I will bring back the strays. I will bind up the injured, strengthen the weak. But the sleek and the strong I will destroy. I will shepherd the flock with justice. So to finish off today, perhaps we can go back to that verse 10 again. It says, I have come that they may have life, life to the full. When Jesus calls us to follow him, he promises to protect us. He died for us, but he also wants the best for us. He wants our lives to be fulfilled. There are certain things he promises. He doesn't promise to make us millionaires, but he promises to give us contentment. Philippians 4 verse 11 says, I know what it is to be in plenty. I know what it is to be in need. I've learnt the secret of being content in every and any situation. And then he gives us peace. Philippians 4 verse 6, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And now, crucial this, and the peace of God, which passes all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. And then thirdly, he gives us insight into what life is really all about. What's the point of it all? Psalm 16 verse 11. You make known to me the path of life, and you will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand. So, maybe the true meaning of life is not just here on earth, but what's to come. And then he adds wonderful qualities to our lives too. Well-known verses, Galatians 5. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. So a happy sheep is a sheep who's feeling safe, grazing on lush grass, knowing that the shepherd knows them all by name and is watching over them. So I hope this encourages people today, and thanks for listening, everyone. Bye for now.